welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to do a wrap up of Ready to Love Season 5, the DC edition. Let's welcome in Alex W. Lee.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm back.
Hey, Alex, how are you? What's going on with you? You okay?
I'm okay. Did my traveling last week. Somewhat productive. Got back to work this week, so everything's good.
All right, all right. Hold on one second. I've got to make a change real quick, okay? Just give me one
All
second.
righty. I'll be singing. La 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 la. What?
Okay, all right. There we are. There we are.
Right.
You're a mess. Hey, I just wanted to say I wanted to thank everybody for hanging in there with me. I know I'm behind on my reviews, Kings of Napa. Not Ready to Love. We're about to start that tonight, but also the one Married at First Sight. Oh my goodness, that's getting so good, guys. If you're watching, I'm also reviewing and recapping I'm sorry, Married at First Sight, and of course this show, Ready to Love, which premieres tonight on OWN, right?
Sure is.
Yep.
A whole new season in DC again.
Yep, in Potomac. Yep, in that same area. Tell me, are you looking forward to the new season?
After last season wore me out, Aubrey. You know,
Yeah, I can see that. It's been like, you know what, with all the IG lives, with all the Little Black Book and Jack Glenn and Miss Sabrina, all the different interviews, trying to keep up with them has been so much. Have you seen any of the IG lives?
I constantly watch the IG lives. I follow Sydney. I follow Aisha. I follow Sabrina. Yeah, I got a few of them that I follow. Yeah. So whenever they have a live, I get notified. And sometimes I'll click on, sometimes I won't. But the lives be very interesting.
Okay, okay. I just lost my control, so keep talking.
Yeah, no. But they had a live last night following Zadia's Kojo interview, and woo wee, Lord have
Yeah,
mercy.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I actually have footage of that on my Actually Aubrey YouTube channel. So if you guys missed it and you don't see it, you just come on over to my YouTube channel, Actually Aubrey, and you can catch all of it there with Aisha, Sydney, Courtney, and Sabrina's actually in there for a while too, right?
Yeah, it was four of them last night.
Yep, the four of them. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I got
So,
my controls back. I just kind of
okay.
disappeared.
Okay. But it was definitely an interesting interview she had with Kojo. Um, kind of what I expected. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah, give me a brief analysis because we're going to touch on that, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. While we before we're going to get into some other topics, but tell me your initial thoughts about the Zadia's Little Black Book interview.
Well, I think a lot of people were tuning in. I think at one point Kojo had maybe 3,500 people, on this thing. Maybe a little bit more than that. I'm not even sure, but it was a lot of people on this live. And I think what they were trying to wait for, and I think Kojo was trying to push Zadia in this direction, people wanted to hear accountability. They wanted to hear sincere regret or apology for a lot of the behavior, things that went on. I didn't expect that she would do it, and she didn't. So
Okay, well we're gonna get into whether she did or didn't at the later on. So I just wanted to get your initial take on it. Do you think that he did a thorough interview of her?
it was very thorough, very thorough. He got us to get into her background, her upbringing, and stuff, which kind of explains some of her behavior now. But she went into her family background, things of that nature. So he did
Okay.
a good interview. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, very good, very good. So I wanted to start off tonight. I wanted to talk about What are some of the things? So it's called he says, she says. So what are some of the things that you as a man, what are some of the things that you got out of it that were positive that you looked at as pluses or that you really learned from? Because I think there were, as bad as people were talking about this season was, there actually were some good things that we got out of this season too. Because we actually
Mhm.
had some couples that actually made it.
Right, right. And I think from my perspective, the positives I got, and this goes for real life, whether you in business or relationships or whatever it may be, you have to let the process play itself out. You know, you can't rush anything. You can't make anything be what you want it to be. But if you work the process, in the end, you'll be happy with the result. But you have to work the process. You can't force anything. And that's what I think we saw a lot this season. A lot of people trying to force feelings or force a relationship or force an intimacy. And if it don't happen naturally, if there's no chemistry, it's not going to happen. So learning how to work the process, I think, is a real positive thing that I got from seeing this season.
Okay, could you give like an example from the show? Like, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking like, who might you be referring to exactly?
I'm referring to Aisha. You know,
Ah, okay, okay,
Aisha really worked the process. She had an interest in, Phil at one point, and if Phil wanted to go out on a date with Sydney, she didn't try to block that. She didn't get upset. She went over to Dante. If Dante wanted to go and date Zadia, she stepped back, let him date Zadia. She went on to somebody. She worked the process, and
right,
and, and,
right. She
and there
really
was
did.
yeah, there was never an instance in where you heard her talking bad about, you know, Zadia or Sydney or Carrie or nobody. She said, everybody's there to date. Let's work this process. And whoever we got a connection with, we got a connection with, you know? And she truly worked the process to its fullest extent. I believe her and Sabrina did that. But Aisha stands out more to me.
Well, so does that mean that since Aisha ended up coming out of the process with a relationship with Dante, does that mean that Dante also worked the relationship and worked the process? I'm sorry, worked the process.
Well, I think Dante, to me, he was all over the place for a minute, but then I think he kind of zeroed in on Zadia more so than Aisha. I think he zeroed in on Zadia. He wanted Zadia, but he was also interested in Aisha. But I think Zadia was his first choice. So when things went awry with that, or when Zadia found out he was interested in Aisha, he was considering Aisha, and she went ballistic on him. That kind of solidified his relationship with Aisha right there. But I think
Right.
I think he worked the process, but I also think he was all over the place because you got to remember Dante. He be out there. You know what I mean? So, um, but I hope they make it. He took a lot of flack for the three babies and three baby mama thing and so forth. But that's his past life. Things happen. You can't crucify him for it the rest of his life. He takes care of his children and got a good relationship with the mothers, and hopefully
What
him and I
else?
make it go of it.
Right, right. Okay, and then we also saw Phil and Sydney came out of the process. What do you think about their connection and what did they do right?
Well, I think when Sydney showed up, she threw a total wrench in everybody's game as far as the young ladies. Okay,
Okay, the curveball.
the curveball, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think by Phil playing the laid back kind of guy, that was the best way to play that. Because obviously, if a woman that looks like that walk out, everybody drooling at the mouth. All the guys are drooling at the mouth. But if you can get that under control, kind of laid back, and let it play itself out, because you remember later on in the season, he never went after Sydney. Sydney actually invited him on a date. Okay, she invited him because he was a laid back, cool type guy. And when she seen that, listen, it may or may not be Frank. I got too much familiarity with Frank. I'm gonna see what it's like with Phil. And she actually invited him on a date. So that was
Okay,
a
yeah,
that was a
she
wonderful thing.
did. She did. She did.
Uh-huh.
And what do you think about that? What do you think about today in just real life? What do you think about, and not saying that the show isn't real life, but for average people that are out here dating without cameras and without TV crews, what do you think about women stepping up and maybe asking a guy out for coffee or a gym date, I guess is another one, especially if you got a really cute figure. But what do you think about that?
I welcome that. I mean, I wish more women would do it. I mean, it just, because men want to be desired too. And if you got a beautiful woman who expresses her desire in you and asks you out for a cup of coffee, whatever. See, I always say being assertive and being aggressive is two different things. It's not the
Okay.
same thing. It's not the same
Okay.
thing. Okay. So if you have an assertive woman who lets you know that she's interested, but she's doing it in a classy way. She's maintaining her femininity. There's no aggression whatsoever. I think more men will welcome that. We love that. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't look at her as if, oh man, she's easy. She's gonna be easy. No, we don't look at it like that. We look at it like, oh wow, she desires me. We get on a high about that because
Right.
we know depending on how she looks, she can get any man she wants. But she's coming at me. So that's a wonderful thing. I wish more women would do it.
Right, right, right. I think that we saw the difference between that what you just said. So the term aggression versus assertiveness versus aggression. But we did see a lot of on a not so great note. We did see some of the women, just not all of them, but some of the women, some of the castmates from Ready to Love that were a little bit, in my opinion, too aggressive. And when I say aggressive, I mean like to the point of wanting to promote violence almost. Like, what's that all about? I didn't agree with that. But yeah, but the assertiveness, back to Sydney, I thought that that was very assertive of her to ask Phil out on a workout date. That's something that clearly she likes to stay in shape. I don't know how much time Phil spends in the gym, but he looked like he wasn't uncomfortable with it, obviously.
Mm.
And that was where they seemed to really start to make their connection, was when she invited him to come work out with her. So maybe that's a thing now.
And like how do you feel about women being assertive and approaching men in an unorthodox way? I mean, it could be in a supermarket, it could be in a laundromat, it could be walking down the street, whatever. If you're a woman and you're interested in a guy, you see him walking down the street or you see him in the supermarket, how would you get his attention? What would you do, Aubrey?
That's a good question. Because I do think that, yeah, that if I'm in the space in my life in the point where I want to make a connection with the guy like that, I would do something. I don't know. I probably would strike up conversation. So you gave a couple of different scenarios: supermarkets, laundromats, various places. But wherever I was, I probably like maybe could say, oh, you know what? I've got this $5 bill. Do you have change? And he might not, he might just very well point me to the change machine, but he might just pick up on what I'm trying to throw down and say, well, blase spleen, blah, blah, blah. And, if he's not with someone and he's not currently involved with someone, so you just kind of have to kind of play that by ear. But yeah, I definitely would. If I'm in a space where I'm looking to meet somebody, I would be a little forward, because I feel like I think that kind of comes with maturity and with age, that women, we have learned that if you see somebody that you're interested in and you feel like you think he might be available, it's nothing wrong with saying a friendly comment. And usually most guys will kind of guide you, like, oh, I'm already married, or they'll show their ring, or whatever. They'll kind of guide you, just like women guide men when when men approach us. We guide them and let them know, okay, so I'm interested. I'm smiling. I'm nodding my head. I'm not interested. I'm not smiling. I'm not nodding my head. I'm trying to get past you. Like, dude, what are you doing? I got things to do. I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
you kind
right.
of people, their body language and what they're saying. You follow their cues. But absolutely, yeah, I absolutely would.
And I've seen this, from a lot of women as they get more of a mature age, and when they were younger, because they were beautiful, Gravity hadn't set in yet. You know,
Don't even mention that cursing word, gravity. I hate it. I get out the shower and I'm like, what gravity? These used to be way up here. Gravity. I hate that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I went on a rant. My bad.
yeah,
Go ahead.
you had a terrible flashback. You know,
Oh
did
my
you,
goodness. I
did
can
you-
remember. I'm not going to even tell you what I remember, but it's just so amazing that the things that you think when you're younger, I can't wait till I get older and this and that happens. Enjoy wherever you are in life. I'm just enjoying where I'm at right now, but I think that it's a real trick to know to enjoy where you are, wherever you are. If you're 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, whatever, just enjoy it because you're never going to get that day, this day back that we're in right here today. We're never going to get this day back.
yeah, once this day is gone, that's it. So,
That's it. That's
you know,
it.
the point I was making was
Yeah.
before you went on the gravity rant, you know.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
So you talk about hitting a nerve, you know.
Well, does that happen? Well, tell me something. Does that happen with men? Because you guys got a lot less parts to really droop or whatever. So does that happen with men? Does gravity take an effect on your body? The
Not so,
to a
not so much gravity, but internally, we start producing less testosterone. We beat ourselves down a lot sexually when we're younger, and you know things just don't work the same like they used to work.
okay, okay,
You
all
know, I mean
right.
that to be honest about it, because we so much worried about conquering when we're younger. You know, the minute we
Mhm.
open our eyes in the morning, it's like, how many can I get today? How many can I conquer today? You know, and so if you knocking down 2 3 women a day throughout your 20s and 30s or whatever, and it starts to slow down once you get over 40 and stuff, you getting
Mhm.
beat, you don't get beat down, you know. So things start to kind of get worn out. You know what I mean? And like I said, naturally we don't produce as much testosterone, so now you got to take supplements and different things to help boost that up a little bit.
You got to
You know,
do what you got to do.
yeah,
I got it. I got
yeah,
it. I
you
got
do what
it.
you got to
Yeah.
do. But the point I was making previously is that a lot of women when they're younger and you know everything's perky and they got their figure, their stomachs are tight, and they all this stuff, and the men are plentiful. They get a lot of attention. They tend to take it for granted. And what I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
what I mean, yeah, what I mean by that is they like to play games and see how many guys they can trick or get 5 or 6 drinks out of a guy, knowing they have no intention of being with the guy, and they play the game, right? And okay, whatever, but they get older now and they find out I never really had anything meaningful. Okay. Now I want something meaningful, but I don't play games so much. I don't have anybody, and nobody's looking at me like that anymore. Not like they used to. You might still be cute in your older age, but nobody's chasing you like they were when you were 30. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. So a lot of people need to understand that if you plan on living to to be an older person, you got to take that into consideration when you're
Mhm.
younger and act
Well, I
accordingly.
think that same thing on this she says. I think that same thing goes for men too, though. Men do a lot of playing when they're younger, and they're talking about they're getting the dog out and this kind of thing. But men have to take that in consideration too. But I guess, well, I no, I think I guess no, I maybe contradicting myself as I think it through, right? So as men, as people age, there tend to be less men due to incarceration, death, early death, different things, right? So let's say we get to our 40s and 50s, there's probably going to be maybe 2 or 3 women to each man, right? That's available, right?
Right.
And so you got a point there. I guess women have to be more considerate. And that's why I kind of wonder why with a lot of today's women, like with millennials, and women, that it's fine to have your career to get your education. I think that's a great thing. I recommended it to both my daughter and my son. But what I don't understand is, like, to what you're saying, yeah, that some of the younger women just think that the amount of attention that they got in college, they're going to always get that out in the real world. And that's not
Right.
really always the case. Like, what?
Right.
you're not going to always get that same attention. You're not going to have the same opportunity. So you really have to value people, men included. You have to value them, their friendship, their time, and their interest in you, and really take it for what it is. Like, this is a human being, this is a person. They could be anywhere else with anyone else. So, see what that thing is about. And maybe if you have that connection, maybe you might, if you're ready to, not saying that you have to be, because everybody has their own timetable, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, I see that with some of my friends that are as we've gotten older, they never really made the connection for marriage, and they really are seeking to be in a real stable relationship, possibly up to and including marriage. And I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
it's one thing, and we none of us should settle. We should always have a certain standard, and that we require in a mate. But we also need to understand that no one's coming to you perfect. Hell, you ain't perfect. So nobody's coming perfect. So you could be selective, but don't be ridiculous. Because if you're going to be ridiculous and expect somebody to come riding on a white horse with an armored suit on and all kind of nonsense you hear these fairy tales, you're going to end up an older person by yourself.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody wants to do that. So I'm just thinking about, if we go back to, like, for example, let's take Corey. The guy Corey, that was one of last season, because I have to say last season now, because we're entering to season 6 of Ready to Love. When you think about a guy like Corey, what do you think were some of the mistakes that he made, and why he didn't last till the end, and why he didn't find a mate? What do you think are, you're a guy, you can really analyze. So I don't want to be just talking about him. What do you think about Corey?
Well, what Corey made the mistake is he was using running the same game on women that were in close proximity of one another. Okay,
Hmm.
if you're
Okay.
gonna run the same game, make sure these women don't know each other. You know,
So you saying he should be sneakier? Oh,
yeah,
that's not good advice. Come on now, that's
listen,
not
it,
good
it,
advice.
it, it is good advice if you're looking for a mate or a spouse or whatever the case may be, because you can run the same game, but
Oh
don't
my
run it
Lord,
within close
ladies,
proximity.
don't listen to him. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, go
Listen,
ahead. Listen to him.
I'm telling you what the deal is. You know, you can like it or lump it, but here's
You saying this is the real, no matter how I feel about it, huh?
no matter how you feel about it. But he just, when women can get together and talk, they don't talk
Right.
about you.
Right, that was the problem. You're right. That actually was the problem. Okay, what else? What else? There was more than just that. What else was there about Corey? What do you feel about? I got to ask you this. So a lot of ladies complain, including myself, because he's lucky I wasn't on the show, because I would have had words and maybe hands for him. What did you think about the inappropriate use of his body, and how he would just kind of position his body physically with the ladies? I thought that was over the top myself.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They let him. You only do what a person allows you to do. Now, if they had said to
So if
him,
somebody runs up in the store and smacks you, you saying that you allowed the smack to take place, because
no,
basically you're
no,
not
no.
expecting that to happen. I think you have to consider that those women weren't expecting him to be that gross.
What I'm saying to you is, you talking about when he got on the back of Mooney and was humping her, or whatever the case may be, when they were out. Okay, if somebody run
Okay,
by,
PG-13, Alex,
listen, no,
PG-13.
whatever. You you saying if someone run up and smack you in the behind, now that's a shocker. That's a surprise. You weren't expecting that. But
Right.
if you out with somebody and they come
Okay.
up behind you and grab you around the waist and press themselves against your behind, now if you don't push them away, you allowing it, because
Okay. I see.
you
Go
can
ahead.
easily say, "Yo, back up off me. What you doing?"
Right, right, right. You're right. You're right. But I'm saying, but you do admit, you do confess as a guy, that was a little creepy. That was a little creepy. Like, unwanted touches are still unwanted touches, right? Are we gonna
Oh,
agree? Can we
listen,
can we agree to that? Or
no, we're not
are
agreeing
you
to this.
saying that you think that some of the women wanted those creepy touches?
If
Like,
they
cause
don't
there's
listen, if you
okay.
don't push me away, you're welcoming it.
No, that's bull. That's bull. You almost had me
No,
cursing there. That's
no, it
bull
ain't.
crap. That's bull crap.
PG-13.
That's
PG-13.
yeah, right. That's right. That's right. Cause you gotta remind me because I almost said something that's bull crap. I'll say this. That's bull crap. And there's another
How
word
was
for it
it
too.
bull crap?
But
You a
but
grown
what
woman.
about okay, but wait a minute. What about calm down, sir? What about when he at the skating party, the skating date where there was Courtney and Cornelius and Camille, and he kind of decided to run off with Courtney to kind of give Camille a better chance with Cornelius, which I didn't understand that. But anyway, at some point during the date, he actually got, like right up on her with his pelvis area, like right up. I mean, like, Americans, we have like a certain number of feet that's considered like, this is my personal private zone. And when you step, say, maybe within more than closer than 3 feet, that's just kind of weird to
Or,
me. I'm like,
or,
why are you, like you said, I would have said, why back up? Why are you so close? I can smell
yeah,
your
yeah.
breath. Get
You
away from
you
me.
you would have said, did she say it? That's the question. You would have said it. Did she say it?
She looked uncomfortable though too. So I mean, I just think that was uncalled for. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move
Now we're
on.
gonna move on because you can't handle it.
I
Like
can
you
handle it. I can handle it, but I'm just saying I don't agree with you because what you're saying is just because a person doesn't speak up. But I think people, men especially, I think you guys never give consideration to the fact that some women, a lot of women, and actually a lot of men who have been in these perverted situations with other people before, they don't have a voice. They feel like they don't have a voice, and they're literally stunned. And this is also happening in front of TV cameras, and it's being filmed. So
let me
I don't
ask you.
know if you give that consideration, but that's okay. I don't
Let me
want
ask,
to. I don't
let
want
me
to
ask you this.
browbeat it, and I want to keep the show light. That's what
Well, we
I'm
keep
doing.
we keeping the show light, but
Okay.
let me say this.
Hmm.
There's been countless numbers of people, men and women, who going out on first dates, the first date, and slept together. So who's inappropriate if they sleep together on the first date? I'm talking about two adult people. I'm not talking about a kid. You go and touch a kid, then you way out of base. Because the kid can't protect themselves, they can't defend themselves, nothing. But when you got two grown people and one person touches the other, if you don't shove their hand out the way, you welcoming it. You want to be touched. You want to
No,
be.
no, no. I disagree with you. I
Then you
disagree with you.
disagree. I
I
don't
dis
agree with
I disagree with you. It's not. You say welcoming. You specifically use the term welcoming. Am I right or no? You
you.
use
Yeah,
the
that's
term
what I use.
welcoming. It's not welcoming.
Okay.
Welcoming, if I stand in front of my door and you go inside my house without my invitation, I didn't welcome you. You took
Totally
advantage
different.
and you took the opportunity because you knew that my door was probably open because I'm standing out there without my key and maybe I'm looking around or checking the weather or whatever the heck I'm doing, and you burst in my house. You come through my
Totally
door.
different.
That's not a welcome. No, no, I'm telling you there's okay, so yeah, I'm using that as an analogy clearly. And what I'm saying is, welcoming somebody to your body would be clearly stating or inviting them or putting their hand or their body part where you want it to go. That is, sir, that is welcoming. So, no, when somebody puts their pelvic region without invitation, verbally or physically, that is not the woman welcome that man's touch, sir. No, no, sir, no, sir, no, sir.
I'm gonna tell you this, and we're gonna wrap this up. There were two women in my life that I took the assertiveness to touch and take a chance to touch or grab them or hold them in certain ways because they were fresh and new in my life. And you know what happened? I
You
married
ended
both.
up
I married both those women.
okay, so that's fine, but that's not Corey. He's not marrying anybody. He's 40
Yeah.
years old and he
Well.
still ain't got a bride. He still
Yeah.
don't have a bride, sir. So let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to
Okay.
compare what you do. See, the problem with you is you're trying to look at it through your eyes of, yeah, you knew those women liked you. But like I said, you're not, that's not it. That's not it, sir. Nope.
And you're looking.
But
You're looking at it through your eyes. How
that's
they see that.
correct. And my eyes are correct. With
Gosh.
my glasses, I see 2020.
Your eyes are correct.
So now on to Sabrina. What did you like about Sabrina this season? Sabrina ended up at the very end on decision day with someone who claimed that they wanted her and they picked her. They chose her, and that was Walter, right? But Sabrina, at the last moment, in the 12th hour, decided that she didn't want to be with Walter because she said, although you were my number one, you made me feel like a number two. What are your thoughts about that? Was
Well,
she
she
was
got
she fair? Was she fair with him?
well, she got hip to the game after a while. You just have to watch a person long enough. See, it's not what a person say, it's what they do. Because a person can tell you anything, but when you observe their behavior, you get to see the real them. Okay, and I think over time that's what Sabrina was doing. She was watching him. He wouldn't call. He would disappear. He would do this and do these different kind of things. She's like, wait, I don't like this. But when they were together, he was very attentive to her and showing her all these different kind of attentions and complimenting her or whatever. But when they weren't together, he disappeared again. So
Well, okay. I want to get you. Thank you. You brought up a very good point. Let's talk about Walter. I don't know. Did you see Walter's interview where he talked about what was going on in his life outside of the show at the same time as the show, overlapping?
I didn't see his interview when he said that. No.
Okay, so Walter basically said that he was not willing to sacrifice being celibate without sex or without intimacy for 2 months. So he had a backup. Walter had a backup.
Mm.
And so what I don't know, I don't remember which live it was, but Sabrina basically responded and said the reason why she decided not to be with Walter was because she knew they had talked about it off camera that he was having friends with benefits, right? With his girlfriend right before the show. I guess he had broken up. They had broken up 2 or 3 months before the show, but you know how that goes when people are fresh on their breakups, right? A lot of times people kind of stick around and roll back in the mud with the same old person, right? So that's what he was doing. He was still having sexual relations with an old ex-girlfriend that was recent, and he had told this basically to Sabrina. Sabrina was aware of it, and so I don't blame her. I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want him.
Mm.
I
Right,
wouldn't want them,
right.
and I wouldn't want anything to do with them. You know,
Yeah,
I
and,
wouldn't.
and again, she got hip to the game, and she said, "No, this is not for me. This is not for me."
Mhm.
And it's interesting. And we spoke about Zadia earlier. Zadia is now saying, and we don't know how true it is because she has a
Mhm.
strange relationship. She has a strange relationship with the truth. We know that. Okay,
I
but,
don't think she even knows
but
who the truth is. I think her and the truth have never met. But go ahead.
right. But what she is saying was she started to weigh the checks and balances and started to say, if I ended up with Dante, can I handle the three baby mamas, three baby situation? So she kind of
What?
made that an issue last night. And speaking to
Oh, you know
Coco,
what? I did see that because I had to turn away so much what she was saying. She was talking in circles, but I did catch part of that she was talking about. And no, she absolutely could not handle his children nor his three babies' mothers because she has a personality, in my opinion. Zadia, I don't know what exactly I'd have to go through the DSM, but she's dealing with some real mental health situations, and I really think that whoever she sought therapy with before, she needs to get a new therapist and seek to find out why she chooses violence in so many turns. I mean, all of the show, there were many occasions where she chose violence with her words and with her actions.
and,
Um,
and even off
yeah,
camera, the kicking Carrie,
yeah.
Carrie,
Oh,
or
absolutely, absolutely. And
shoving.
then and not wa- and then not being woman enough to want to apologize, to say I'm sorry. Instead she turned it into like almost like Carrie owed her an apology.
Yeah, and then also kicking Carrie, lunging at Sydney. Doing what's all this about? And then,
Choosing violence.
and,
I
but
can't
then,
imagine. I haven't had a fight since I was probably 12 years old. So like I can't imagine fighting anybody unless it's for my life in a dark alley or on the streets. I can't even imagine fighting somebody. Like I don't even live that lifestyle.
but I tell you this, she come across the right one. An ass whooping kills a lot. I tell you that.
Yeah. I'm welcoming her to come to Detroit because
Yeah,
I don't know what they do in DC, but Detroit women are gonna have that, and the
Mhm.
Detroit men are gonna have her mushing their nose in either. But I, on saying that, I do applaud Dante, and I've been applauding him since that happened. I really had to look at him with whole new eyes. This whole Dante thing, just him, not responding, keeping his cool, and being a king of men. I call him a king of men for that act alone. For not
Mhm.
choosing violence, you get the King of Men award in my book, Dante. I really do believe that, and I think that I wish you and Aisha the best. Um, you can see that whatever inner work that he's done, he needs to maybe give some notes, slide some notes along to somebody who's friends with Zadia, because the work that he did on himself to have that a level of self-control, because see, I wouldn't have been able to take it. I wouldn't have been able to take, first of all, I never like, because of past experiences, I never like nor tend to allow people to stand over me. If I'm in a seated position, you better have a seat too, because you're not going to stand over me.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I'm gonna go here with you for a minute because you brought
Oh
this up.
Lord, you already they got my blood pressure up. Okay,
Yeah. Take your pill.
let me see if I got the 911 on speed dial. Go ahead.
Yeah. Take your pills. Get your pressure down. You know.
Ah, come on, Alex. What is it?
But remember how all throughout the season you start getting this energy from watching the characters, and you started saying that a lot of men were operating in feminine energy, right? And
You wait a minute. You wait. Let me make sure I'm clear. I understand you clearly. You're saying the men were operating in feminine energy, correct?
yeah, you would allude to that throughout the
Yeah. Oh
season.
yeah.
Okay. And you would say that, then we would go to a different subject. You never really did elaborate. You had your ideas who it may be and who it may not be, but you would do that. And many times throughout our season, I would say I had a phrase I would coin. I would say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, right? And of course, I believe that Camille befriended Zadi and a few other women to keep them away from Corey. I mean, keep them away from Cornelius, right? Now, having said that, last night on live, when Sydney was on with Aisha and Sabrina and Courtney, right? She
Mhm.
said, "Can you hear me?"
Oh yeah. I said
Okay.
yes.
She said that when they was at a party and she was giving lap dance, Courtney, Sydney's very playful, so she was
Right.
giving
Right.
lap dances and stuff, and just being a party animal and being fun. And she gave Corey a lap dance or whatever, in which it
You mean
upset.
Cornelius? You
Oh
saying
yeah,
Cornelius?
Cornelius. She gave
Okay.
Cornelius a lap dance, which upset Camille or whatever, right? But here's the thing. Sydney said, I wasn't thinking about Cornelius that way. Cornelius is like one of my girlfriends. And I thought that was very interesting when she said that. Because
Mhm.
if 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 you look at a man who's a manly man and you give him a lap dance, you would never say about a manly man that's like giving one of my girlfriends a lap dance. You would never say that. So why would she say
Mhm.
that in his case? What are your thoughts about that?
Wow. I mean, I saw that. I watched the interview. I mean, I watched I'm sorry, the IG live that you're talking about. And again, I guess because sometimes I'm watching and I'm, multitasking. And so then my mind is somewhere else at some point. Because I heard her talking about it. I distinctly remember hearing her talk about it, right? I did hear her say that she took him as like a friend. I guess I heard a friend. How did you say she said it
No, she's
again?
like what a girlfriend.
A girlfriend. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Well, I've said for a while. Okay, so it's no secret. I think to anybody that has eyes and has observational skills, that all of these shows, many of these reality shows, one of the things that they seem to love to do, and as a person myself that's worked in the entertainment industry many years ago, but for several years, I know for a fact that a lot of the men in the entertainment industry are bisexual and some of them are just straight out gay, but the roles they play are as straight men, right? So I've said this season all along, I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but it's clear to the eyes, it's clear to the observational skills that not all of the men that were there dating women were interested in women. That's what I'll say. And
Mm.
that's up to the viewer to make their own come up with their own conclusions, because if you watch the show, you know who I'm talking about. You have an idea of who's really not a manly man or who's operating in real feminine energy. I'm sorry. Oh, hey, Demita, how you doing? Hey there, girl. Hey, love. Good to see you. But I mean, it's just like I'll say this. At the beginning of the season, there was a really nice date, a really lovely date with Aisha and Carrington. And the observation that I made on that date was, wow, Aisha has a lot to teach us women about how to date. Those of us who are wanting to date or who have been dating or want to get back into the dating world. Aisha is so feminine and she's so lovely in her personality, but she's also no nonsense. She comes with the questions on her first couple of dates. Pardon me. She comes with the questions to ask the men so that she knows I'm not going to sit up here and have a steak dinner. I'm not going to sit up here. I don't have no time to waste, sir. If you're not who I'm looking for, she knows exactly what she's looking for. She's done the work, right? So we see her quickly dismiss Carrington, and we see in that same episode that Carrington is eliminated. So
Right,
now, make what you will of that what you will, but like I said, not all the men there came to date women. That's all I'm gonna say.
right. And I know you don't want to call anybody or say names or whatever, but you didn't have to. Sydney said it. Okay, so I read a lot into that because there's no way that Sydney would have gave Phil a lap dance or Dante a lap dance.
Now that would
Okay,
have turned X-rated real quick.
because listen,
Because a real man, I mean, as gorgeous as that young woman is, and her body, okay, that would have turned. Okay, okay, okay,
because
okay, okay.
because word on the street is Dante's a slinger. So she'd have got in his lap. It would have been instant.
I don't think Phil would have appreciated that. I do
Right,
not think that Phil would have appreciated that. And like to what you're saying, I look at that's another one. So there's a lot of things to be learned from Sydney. Sydney has a lot of femininity she displayed during the season. She displayed a lot of femininity. She displayed a lot of emotional IQ. A lot of people made fun of her, I guess what some people call it kind of a baby voice. But that young woman has shown that she has a lot of maturity, and she kept her cool when Zadia was screaming, was talking to her kind of crazy when we first saw Zadia going off after everybody thought in the beginning Zadia was this nice person. Excuse me, I almost choked on that, but 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 we saw that. So what I was saying about Sydney, so certainly for Sydney to make the observation that you're saying that she made on IG Live, I mean, I don't discount it, because we can compare notes, and I think we come to the same conclusion.
right,
I mean,
right.
there's just certain things that
But see,
I don't
this is
know.
why, yeah. But this is why I look at the IG lives because they're very insightful. You learn stuff. You can read between the lines and everything like that. You learn a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that they don't show on the television. You know what I mean? And so you start to understand why these characters or why these people act a certain way. You know?
Right,
Yeah.
right. When
So
you
it's
when you look
interesting.
at that, then some of these people, or there was another cast member. Again, I'm not gonna mention any names, but there was a certain cast member who later on this season it came out that this person, if you just even visit that person's IG page, you understand that he may be interested in women, but he may also be interested in, you know, you know,
And listen, the
you know,
thing is,
you
if
know.
if 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 if, if that's what you are, fine, but be honest about it.
That's my
Okay,
thing. That's
you
my
know,
thing. I
because
think this whole being on the down low and not letting people know where you stand with your sexual orientation. But you know what? I'm going to say something though that may be controversial, and it may be against popular opinion. I do think that there are some people who aren't they just really aren't honest with themselves, and it becomes almost like a whole mental health issue for them. They are so busy trying to create a one persona over here while living sexually another lifestyle over there. And I think that was one of the cast members that I saw too. I think that's why we saw a lot of crying and a lot of confusion in their statements and in their words and in their babbling. And I'm going, okay, it's okay. It's okay to be gay. It's all right. But
But
what you cannot do and maintain a healthy psyche, I don't think, is to be gay and then have another side of you over here in this persona where you pretend to be straight. I think you
Mhm.
have to really get into therapy and really analyze for yourself who you are and that it's okay to be gay. It's just simply okay. I'm not knocking it. It's nothing wrong with it. If that's who you are, but why come on a whole entire dating show where women are desperate to meet straight men that want to be married to straight heterosexual women? And it's clear that you're not interested in women.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a strange dynamic. Very
Yeah,
strange dynamic.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but they do it like you said. There's nothing wrong with it. Just be upfront with whoever you're going to be. If that's what you are, that's what you are. Be proud. You know. But also too, the other thing, and I said this a few minutes ago about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. I would say all season long too that
Hmm.
Camille befriended certain women to keep them away from Cornelius, right?
Genius. You're
And
genius. Go
and
ahead. Say it. Say it. Say
and
it.
I'm a genius, on
Or
top
at
of being
least on this point. Come
yeah,
on now, because I'm waiting for you to say it because this is literally genius. Yes.
yeah, I'm a genius on top of being good looking and all that stuff too. You gotta add
Okay. All right. All right.
but she did that so masterfully. So masterfully. And I knew that because I've
Mhm.
seen it many times in my own life. And so I'm gonna ask you, what would your feelings be if you knew, because the friendships aren't authentic. She did it with an agenda. Okay. So if you was in that position, let's say in the position of Zadia or Mumin or whatever, and you find out later someone befriended you just to keep them away from a guy that they may have been interested in that you're interested in as well or whatever, how would you take that? How would you feel about that as a woman?
That's an interesting question because now that you've put this idea and this chess move into my repertoire, I don't know if I go back. That's probably happened to me as a woman, to be honest. Because you know what, I think that I tend to be pretty direct and straightforward, and I guess I'm expecting other people to be the same. But a lot of times I do have to realize that people don't always have pure intentions. They're not straightforward about their intentions or their motives. So I don't know. But then I think the other thing about it now, too, when I think about it, I tend to be a loner. Like, so even though a lot of people will know me in a group or whatever situation that I'm in, if I'm in school, if I'm in a work environment, people say, "Oh yeah, I know her," or I've hung out with her, or whatever the thing is. But basically, I'm still an introvert, so I'm kind of always kind of analyzing people. Um, I don't know. That's a really good question
Yeah, because
because I go ahead.
because you know just as well as I do, right? Life is chess. It ain't checkers. Okay,
Right.
and you always want to have people who always trying to do these chess moves. Okay, and if you're ignorant to it, you'll mess around and get caught up. Okay, and
Hmm.
have your queen trapped. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
So, and I think that's what happened in this case. I don't think those relationships are going to last. I think they were formed under false pretenses. I
Well,
think,
wait a.
as Zadia kept saying last night in her interview, this was six
Mhm,
months ago.
mhm.
So you have to start asking yourself, how are those relationships now? Are they just as strong now as they were then, or is it just because they're riding out the show possibility? What the
I
show is.
think I've said that with a couple of the relationships that I see, and so there. I think that we could say if we were to count them up, right? Can we say what there are about four relationships from this last season of Ready to Love? We'll say name two of the couples that you observed, and then I'll name two, the other two.
That I think are going to hang around for a
No,
while.
no, no, no. Just simply name the couples that were formed, regardless of what you think they're gonna do. Just name them. I'm just asking
Oh,
you to name them.
you talking about like friendships?
No, couples. I said couples, romantic couples.
Well, obviously Aisha and Dante come to mind.
Okay, that's one.
Okay, and then
Mhm.
there's Phil and Sydney.
Okay, so and then the other two I will say are Camille and Cornelius are a romantic couple, as at least they you know peg themselves that way. And then there's Zadia and I want to say it right because she said it last night, and I said, oh, I've been saying it wrong this whole time, and I don't like to mispronounce people's names, but I think it's Naim, right?
Uh huh.
I I am. Okay, so those are four couples that basically what I would say that came out of the show. Um, do you think that when you get back to what you were saying about Camille, do you think that she manipulated one or more of the women to be her friend to keep them away from Cornelius? And who are those women?
Well, yes, and initially, first and foremost, it was Zadia. She needed to
Hmm.
block Zadia from being interested in Camille. I mean, getting interested in Cornelius and getting Cornelius. She had to block that.
And why? And I just want because I want you to point out something. I want you to say it. I don't want to say it. Why do you think specifically Camille went after Zadia to become her friend? What does Camille have? I mean, what does Zadia have over Camille? If you're a guy and you're looking at this whole thing um, objectively,
Well, I'm not sure what you want me to say, other than the fact
I'm. Oh, go ahead.
they she got the body, yada yada, as you like to say. She's very pretty. They're both nice looking women, but
But
I
who's
think,
better looking? Who's better looking, and who's younger,
but
and
I
who's
think
sexier?
I think Zadia is better looking. I
Okay,
mean, yeah,
that's all I wanted you to say. I mean, just
yeah,
an observation that like
right.
if Camille actually looked to be the same age as Zadia, I have no problem as a woman. Trust me,
Mhm.
even though I don't like Camille, her persona and the person that she was on the show, I don't know her personally. I don't like her behavior, but I have no problem saying, wow, she's beautiful. She's just as good looking as Zadia, but she is not, in my opinion.
Right,
She is
right,
not as beautiful. And that's what I wanted you to say, that
right.
so Camille is looking at this, and in fact, in some of the pictures that I'm seeing where she's hugged up with Cornelius, talking about Camille now, um,
Mhm,
her age is starting to show. Her age is
mhm.
starting to show, and that usually happens with women a lot of times in our 40s, where that age will, as the skin starts to break down, the collagen and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. I think you're
yeah,
absolutely right. And the women that she also wanted away from them, I think that she plotted their demise too in other ways. Yeah, I
right.
absolutely do. So yeah, that's a real thing that I never, to be honest, I never thought about it. And all the things that my mom taught me, she may have mentioned some trickery like that, but I don't recall because my mom used to hit me to a lot of things growing up about men and women, about how they relate to one another. And I thank God for her because a lot of things that before they would even happen to me or before they could happen, I would just spot it and say, okay, this is what he's trying to do to me. And this is where he's trying to manipulate me. Right. But my mom never hit me to that. So I never was aware of that, that women will make friends with you. Um, in that way. So no, I don't know if I've been manipulated like that. I'll have to really kind of go back and consider that and be mad at some of my girlfriends, like, oh,
Mhm.
you kept me from marrying that doctor.
And it's funny because once they started that Brown Girl Squad, that was pretty much checkmate right there, checkmate. So it's like you my girl, so I'm he's mine. You go somewhere else with that. You know, so that's what that was.
One of our viewers says, Camille will find out in the future that Cornelius is gay. LOL.
Oh Lord,
I didn't say that. I'm just reading
I
what's
didn't
there.
say it either.
I'm just reading what's on the screen. So
I didn't.
okay.
Yeah, I
But
didn't say it.
I think that, I'm gonna say this too. So there's when we talk about playing chess and manipulation and motivations and intentions, I think that there are women out there that are willing to be married to and in relationship with a guy who is bisexual and gay, and even if he's not open about it, they're willing to. And you got to remember there's reasons. So why would a woman that is heterosexual be married to or in relationship with a guy who's gay? um it might be his finances might be financing just enough for her to say, okay. Camille does have all that student loan debt, which I'm now hearing, according to the IG lives, that her family now has pitched in and has decided to help her with her. But I don't understand, well, if you had this family to help you, that could have helped you with your student loan debt, I don't know if this was just her way because she was too proud to tell her family she has all these tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt from her student loans. But anyway, there are women that are willing to live that lifestyle, and they can have what they want with someone else on the low, 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 while he's being on the low, low, low. So everybody's living this, double, triple, quadruple different lifestyle. My mind is too simplistic for that. Again, like I said, I'm just a kind of straightforward country gal.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. I don't see it for
but you know,
myself.
you
But
know,
but I think that Camille is no fool, and the same thing that everybody else picked up about Cornelius. I don't for a second doubt that she doesn't already know what is clearly obvious.
because when we see this over and over again in our lives and friends and family and whoever, that when people want what they want, they will overlook a whole lot of stuff. It's
Yeah.
right. It's right in their face, and they'll overlook it because they just want this particular thing for whatever the reason may be. They want this thing, so they're going to overlook everything else about this thing, because they just want it. And then come to find out later, you know, it ain't what it appeared to be. Now you upset. What are you upset about? It's been showing you this for 5, 6, 7 years.
And it could be too, and if we're still talking about, again, with this situation, or with any situation, not saying anybody in particular or specifically, but so I had a friend that was like, this person, my mother, when she met him, it was shortly after my father had passed away. So then, now my mother had to help me to vet the men that wanted to ask me out. So finally, I invited this guy, which, interestingly enough, getting back to the entertainment industry, this person was someone who I met through the entertainment industry that I had newly entered. And he wanted to date me, and so he came over. I said, well, you have to meet my mother. So he came over one afternoon and he met my mother, and he sat in the living room and we had conversation for an hour or so, and then he left. And so when he left, I closed the door. I asked my mother immediately, because I was just so excited about him. I was like, so what do you think about him? And she said, baby, my mother's from Texas, by the way. She said, baby, he's nice, but that boy is sweet. I said, huh? Excuse me, what? She said, he's sweet. And I said, well, what do you mean by that, Mom? And she said she never could explain, because back then, this is so long ago, we really
Right,
weren't using the terminology of gay.
right.
So she couldn't explain it to me in a way that I would understand it. And I was like literally like still a teenager. So I really didn't understand the whole homosexuality. I didn't understand that. I didn't really even know. I think and during those days, I didn't really know that existed. So, long story short, same guy. We went out on our first date, went to the movies and whatever else, and he wanted to take me by his apartment, which is a real, like, my dad had already taught me, don't ever go by a guy's apartment or his house. You just meeting them and whatever, and all these rules that I had in my head. I was like, oh no, sir, I'm not going by. Well, finally, he said, "Oh no, I just want you to see my place is decorated so nicely, and I just want you to see it and be impressed." And da 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 da. So finally, it was on the way between the movie theater, the dinner place where we had eaten at or whatever. And so we stopped by. I said, "Okay, look, 5 minutes literally, or I'm gonna start screaming." So we get to the door of his apartment. He opens the door. He swings open the door, in this grand gesture, and I'm looking at the most immaculate, just most well decorated living room, dining room. Everything is just in its place, and it's just so lovely. And I turn to him and I said, so who helped you to decorate? Your mom, your sister? And he just did this little flick of the wrist, and he said, I did. And I was like, okay. And then in
Right,
that moment, I said that because the punchline is in that moment, inside, internally, I finally got what my mother was saying to me, like that this guy is sweet. And I said, okay.
right,
I see what it is. And I didn't go on any more dates with him. We remain friends to this day. um I'm sorry, well, not to this day, because we over the years we've lost contact, but not because of anything with that. But he went on to finish and go to grad school over in Boston, and he ended up married. They had a son, and of course, that lasted for a little bit, but then they split. But he finally came out. So some probably a good 20 years went
mhm,
by, and in our 40s, we went out. He was celebrating his divorce from his wife, and he had just gotten back from Jamaica. And he said, Aubrey, he said, I want you to ask me about the people in Jamaica that I met. And I said, well, what about the people? How were the people in Jamaica that you met? And he said, oh no, I think I must have said a woman. I said, well, how was she? And he said, well, no, how was he? And that was the
mhm.
first time. That was his way of letting me know. And I said, okay. And I didn't bat an eye, because I had already known from that apartment situation. I was like, okay, I see what this is.
Right,
Um, so I accepted
right.
it, but just don't pull me into it. I'm not interested.
Right, right. And I think to be deceptive about it, and I know it's difficult to come out a lot of times when you have, family who are strong in tradition, they have very traditional beliefs and this kind of thing. It's difficult to
And,
come
and,
out.
and our religion and our religious
And
community.
religion, right.
Hmm.
So it's difficult
Yeah,
to come out and go against the grain. But at some point, you are who you are, regardless of how anybody feels about it. And at some point, you got to be honest with yourself because you can't be honest with others if you're not honest with yourself. You know,
yeah. That
and
that is so true.
yeah, and that's just the bottom line. So again, nothing wrong with it, but just be you. Don't act like you want to have a straight relationship when you don't, because it's not fair to the other person. It's really
I
not.
don't think so. I don't believe so. But like I said, but then again, there's going to be those people that are interested and willing to have a relationship, and they're going to be willing to, whatever the motivation is. If it's because you're going to put me up in a big fancy house and have me
Yeah,
comfortable while you do your thing and I do my thing, and we do it on the
right.
low, 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 whatever. But moving on, I don't want to beat that horse. And like I said,
Mhm.
again, it's not that I'm, you know anti people that are gay. But
Right.
what did you think about Naeem? What would you say as a man? Did we learn anything from Naeem? What did we learn from Naeem and his whole position in this thing this season?
It's hard for me to gauge Naeem in a lot of ways. I don't want to have any disparaging remarks to him or about
Mhm.
him, but it just it
Okay.
just it just seems like to me um he seemed P whipped to me. Um the way he jumped to her defense at the reunion, the first part of the reunion, but nobody addressed him, nobody asked him a question. They were talking to Zadia, whatever.
Oh, right. The host had asked Zadia a question. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he jumped in to defend her, and he had to make a big deal about she was number one on 9 of the 10 men's list in the first week or two of the show, or whatever the case is. So I
Right.
just
But
I just
nobody knew what her personality was like. So yeah, she looks good, brother. But the rest of
yeah,
that
and
package,
and and
it
and,
ain't packaging.
and I don't think he understand he was secondary. He was an afterthought or whatever behind Dante or whatever. And I
Hmm.
just I just think he's exhibiting p whipped behavior. I'll just say that.
I think, that's interesting that you say that. So I don't know what their relationship is and how intimate they've been. I think that he strikes me as a person. So I think, we got to go back to the date that he had with his ex, right? When he introduced his ex to Zadia, right? And before Zaya, came on the scene, because I think they were outdoors. It was like a picnic area or something like that. They were at a table, and so the ex said to him, she said, I bet you she has a big booty. That's what she said. Remember that?
Right, I remember.
Okay, so the ex said, I bet she has a big booty. And then when Zadia did come in and was introduced to the ex continued on talking, and she said, well, I tell you about Naeem. He's not very affectionate. And then she
Mm.
got into a debate with him. She literally got into a debate with him in front of his new woman, and she said, or woman to be, or whatever, or potential candidate. She says, well, um, he's not very affectionate. And then she got into a debate with him. Do you remember that?
I remember. Hmm.
So I'm saying all that to say, to kind of get to the point where I think that what I get out of Naeem is, and then if you recall another thing, so when he was on the date and he was meeting, I guess Zadia's her friends or whatever, right? I think that Naeem strikes me as this man that he has gotten to a certain age, because men have a time clock too. I mean, they may not have a time clock, but they have a time clock, because I say this. I think that most men kind of picture themselves that if a man pictures himself having a family, I think if he wants to have a son, a daughter, I think he wants to be young enough to play horse with them, right?
Right,
He wants to get out there and run and maybe coach
right,
his son's basketball, baseball, football team. He wants to be able to do that. He doesn't want to be 75 years old with a newborn. Okay.
right,
So at 40, I'm looking at Naim. I want to say that correctly. And I think that he's now on a time clock. He's saying, okay, I'm 40 and I've accomplished all this. I'm well educated. I have a great job, because even his ex kind of clued us into that some women might want to date him and be with him because he's a come up in the DC area, right? So now, anything about the DC area, there are plenty of high paying jobs, plenty of high paying government jobs, plenty of high paying contract jobs, right? So for her to be saying that he's a come up, I think that means that he's really making some nice little coins. Okay.
right,
Okay. So said all that to say this. So Naeem is ready to settle down. He's like saying, okay, I really want to have children. I want to have a wife and a family. So he strikes me as somebody that is not so much that he's whipped, I don't think, but I think what it is that he wants this he wants this family so bad, he's willing to overlook a lot of things that are down the road. They're going to cause him a lot of grief with Zadia.
But here's the thing, because Adia said this on her interview last night with Kojo. Okay,
What
she
she say?
wants to, she wants the man to be into her. She wants to be the focal point of all his attention and things of that nature. This is why she got so. This is why she got so upset at Dante and pointed her finger in his nose, because she felt
Mhm,
rejected. She don't want to be rejected. She want all the attention on her. And I'm saying that to say to your point, when
mhm.
when Naeem's ex-girlfriend said he's not very affectionate or not very attentive or whatever it was that she said, he's doing that now in the beginning, because we all do that in the beginning, okay, or
Okay.
whatever. But as time goes on and the real him come out and he's not very affectionate or very attentive, can she deal with that? You know,
Oh,
he,
okay. I see what you're saying. Right,
he,
right, right. Will she be able to? Yeah. Well, so
he
I
may
mean,
be.
what do you think? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I keep
No, I'm
interrupting you.
saying he may be doing that now because he know that's what she likes, but it's not
Okay.
him. It's not an
Oh,
aspect
so
of his personality.
you think that he's just putting on the Ritz right now? You think so?
It's the newness thing. It's new. It's exciting. She likes this, so I'll do it. Whatever. And then when you think you got a person under wraps or hooked, your real personality comes out after that. Man, I don't feel like doing that. Yeah. Oh, come give me a hug. I don't feel like hugging. Or let's cuddle. I don't
Yeah.
feel like cuddling. I'm
I
not a
want.
cuddler.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
because Zadia says she likes physical. That's one of her love languages is physical touch. So I'm wondering if he's really affectionate. And that's the thing, especially in younger men. Younger men tend to not really understand the power and the attraction and the power of just cuddling a woman, just hugging a woman. So I
Right.
don't know. That's really interesting what you're saying. But then I want to say something too. Okay, so going back to what Zadia said during the interview, and now we can go ahead and talk about the Zadia interview and kind of wrap things up, because we know that that new season is going to be starting shortly, and we want everybody to get in and catch that. And I want to catch that, have to catch that because I got to review it, right? But
Right.
but um, but so like what do you think? Okay, so it's been 6 months. So I don't know. Is that past the point of like the 90-day introduction period, the 90-day probation period? So if it's been 6 months, would Naeem now kind of be doing a little bit less of that what you were just saying?
Well, it depends on how good the booty is.
I don't know. I'm so glad I'm not a man, because I all this booty stuff
No,
and
no,
all this and
listen,
that and that and that.
Aubrey, Aubrey,
Mm-mm,
Aubrey. If
mm-mm.
she good at what she do, this can go on for 6 months to 2 years. If she's good at
Really?
what she's doing,
2 years?
6 months to two
Well,
years.
she better, you know what? Well, she better have her game plan. She better talk to her girl Camille and find out how Camille got all those guys to propose to her to get that ring. And then,
Listen,
unlike Camille, she better go on ahead and walk on down the aisle, because Naim, his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, I'm sorry, said that he got it going on in the coinage department. I think that the brother is a good-looking guy, except now that I've seen his behavior and the way he moves. When I see the way people move, it can just really turn me off to them, and I don't even see the outside package. I just see this weak character. But he's a nice looking guy. He's got a good job. He's got a stable job. So, like I'm saying, if she got it going on like that, she might as well just go on ahead and make one of the moves and get him to slide one of them big old 5 carat rings on her finger and call it a day. They
Mhm.
both want to settle down and have children. They'll make beautiful babies.
All I'm saying is, the timing is different. Like I said, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on how erotic the intimacy is, how good they make
But
each
is
other
it
feel.
enough? Is it
Physically,
enough? If it's good, is it enough to get the ring? Is it enough?
under falsified pretenses,
What
yes.
you mean falsified pretenses? I mean, if
Listen,
it's good, it's
because
good. What are you saying that's falsified? Somebody
because
got a falsified body part? What is
let me
false?
let,
What's
let, let me
falsified?
explain. Let me
Okay.
let me explain for those who are a little bit naive to the game. Okay,
Break it down
so
for us, New Yorker.
so when you got a woman who know what she doing in that bedroom, okay, who will have you speaking in tongues and reaching for stuff that's not even there because you feel so good,
PG-13. That's all I'm gonna say.
okay. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, she'll have you in there. You be going nuts,
Woo.
okay.
Okay. All right. I guess. I guess. Is
So
that how it goes?
I've had a few of them,
Oh,
okay.
okay, we
So
ain't ask you all that. Get to your point. Make your point, sir. Make your point.
but when that starts to wane, because it will eventually,
Of course,
okay.
you get
So when
used
that
to it.
starts
Yeah.
to wane, and you have to
Hmm.
look now for substance.
Ah.
Once you start to look for substance, can the substance maintain as the sex starts to wane? And in most cases, when it starts out that physical, there's
Hmm.
no substance to hold the relationship up. The substance is the foundation.
Hmm.
Okay, you
Hmm.
you you can ride that high, for a year and a half, 6 months, 2 years. You can ride that high, but once
Okay.
once life really starts to happen, because life will happen.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
once
Right. Right.
life happens, do you have enough commonality, like-mindedness to sustain the relationship at that point? That's where the
Right.
problems come in.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. I think I see what you're saying. I wanna okay. Have you said everything that you want to say with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
with the because that's deep. That's got me. I've got a couple of things that I gotta think about. That's kind of deep, what you're saying. That's interesting and that's deep. But all I can say to what you're saying is it makes sense what you're saying. I'm not denying it. I think it makes perfect sense that sex plays an important role in romantic relationships, right?
That's
And
why
so
it's
I
called. This is why it's
Mhm.
called Aubrey. This is why it's called the honeymoon stage. The beginning is
Right,
called
right,
the
right,
honeymoon stage
right.
because you feel like you're always on a honeymoon. You're on stage, so you're acting as if you're always happy. But then real life starts to come in, and the curtain closes. This is real life
Okay.
now.
Well, all I'm gonna say, just to wrap this up on this part, and I want, because I want to go back. I just realized we left out something. All I want to say to that is that that's great. That's great. I think that this is a great honeymoon period if that's what's going on, and if what she's saying in her interviews that she really wants to settle down and have children, but she almost seems too self-centered. Talking about Zadia now, she almost seems from her interview. I was picking up some things on her that she almost sounds like she's too self-centered and too selfish perhaps to have children right now. But if she's ready to be married, then if I were her, I would press forward Naeem for a ring. That's what I would do. I'm just saying. You
Yeah,
got to know when to strike. A woman has to know when's the time to strike and when's the time to kind of encourage that man to do what you want him to do. Okay?
yeah.
So, I
Because
mean, I'm not going to say it's manipulation, but I'm saying that this is what I want. And if we're on the same page, then we need to act on this thing. That's what we need to do.
and
And
listen,
that's what I'm
any
saying.
anybody can have a baby, but
Hmm.
the true test of true motherhood and
Hmm.
fatherhood is a
Hmm.
totally different thing altogether. Everybody's
Okay.
not ready for that, and that's not
Okay.
for the faint of heart.
Okay. All right. So Camille, I want to come back to Camille because there's something we left out. So in the whole situation, I don't know if you followed up, if you saw that there was this whole other woman that was involved with Cornelius and went to New York with Cornelius
Alex,
and, and Alex. Yeah, yeah. So you your it happens to be your namesake. Alexandria, I think is her full name, but they call her Alex, right? For short. Alex went to New York with Cornelius. And I was just thinking about Camille. What is going on with this whole Cornelius, Alex, and Camille triangle? What do you think is going on with that?
well, that was already existing. The thing with this Alex
Well,
person.
it happened just a few months ago, but it's just now coming out. Like apparently, it happened right after they finished filming, or they were about to film the reunion. So
Mm.
somewhere in November, she said. Oh, so it was after the reunion had been filmed, but before Thanksgiving. So right there in the middle of November was when they took this weekend trip to be on the Soul Train Awards, for him to be on the red carpet because he wants to be an actor, an entertainer, blah blah blah.
Well, first of all, that makes him a liar for one, because he had this huge vow of celibacy when he was on the show. So
Hmm.
this makes him a liar right there. And
Well, she didn't say they got down. She never
listen,
said in her interviews. She
Aubrey,
said that he wanted to get down, but she
Aubrey,
wasn't ready to get down.
I'm not believing nothing these people talking about. I'm
Why,
not
why
believing anything.
not? Why not? Why wouldn't you believe Alex? She sounded like a truthful, and she looked like a truthful woman. Why wouldn't you believe her? I don't
because
understand why
because
you saying you're
because
not believing her.
because
Well, by
because
the go ahead.
because sex is very powerful. It's a very, very powerful thing that people don't give enough credit to. We want to skate around it because after we do it and we know it wasn't right, then we want to feel guilty about it
I
and
don't
kind
see
of
what she had to feel guilty. She's a single woman. He's a single man. What's to feel guilty? Nobody's
maybe,
married.
maybe she don't want to make it public.
Yeah,
She's not
she
ready to
might
make it
not have
public.
wanted to expose that part. Right, right.
Maybe not. You know what I mean? So I just, with all the stuff that went on during this season, Aubrey, I don't put a whole lot of stock in what these people say. I look at what they do. You know what I mean? What they
Well,
say
so
and what
you
they do, it just don't jive together. And we keep
so
seeing that.
So you did see the picture. So you did see. So that lady, because she brought receipts. Because at first I said, "Well, how do we know that they went to New York?" And she had these photographs. And then now this is the part that I find really very interesting. Corey met them in New York. Corey from Ready to Love came and met them in New York, and he didn't stay at their hotel allegedly, but then again, he stayed with his brother, who I think she said the brother lived somewhere in Harlem. But then the second night, I think he did come and stay or sleep on the floor. The whole thing was really
But
weird.
that's his boy. That's Cornelius' boy. Him and Corey are boys.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, so anyway, yeah, that's his boy. That's his boy. And I think I find that their relationship and their friendship really interesting.
Aubrey,
Um
Aubrey. Who's the
I
main one? Who's
hmm?
the main one that was trying to calm Corey down when he was crying?
What you mean the fake crying at the reunion? The fake
Yeah.
crying?
Who's
You
the main
got
one
it.
trying to
I
calm
mean,
him
it was
down?
though. You know what? I don't know if he was calming or was he coaching him because he kept saying, "You got it. You got it. Yeah, you got it." He didn't say it like I'm. My tone is a little different. It was a little more subdued, but he was like, "You got it. You got it. You got it." Like I'm like, what is this like a acting coach? What's going on here? These people are weird. These people are really really weird.
He kept saying,
Cornelius and Corey are very weird.
well, he kept saying, take your time, you got it, take your time, you got this,
Yeah, that's what it was. Take your
you
time.
know.
That's it. But what was
So
he
he
saying?
kept,
Come on.
yeah. Well, what I'm saying is,
Okay.
he was the main one trying to calm Corey down during that whole crying fiasco, whether it was fake
I
or real.
kn- I know, but the whole thing was like that's another person. Okay, so let's talk about Corey. Corey is a whole nother person now. Shout out to Kamisha, my girl Kamisha's review. If you guys haven't been over there, go over there and check out her interview with Corey from Ready to Love. She did an excellent, excellent interview, and just hats off to her. I don't know how she had patience and just the time, but she took her time with the interview and she was very patient with Corey. But what I saw just as an observer, what I got out of the interview with Corey is Corey doesn't really know who he is. And he's in denial about a lot of different things. And while he's in denial, in his interview, he seems to just want to talk in circles. He never answers anything directly. Everything has to be a story. He talked about his connection with Tasia, and he made it seem like he made his connection, his alleged connection with Tasia, sound like as if he was doing her a favor because she happens to be a woman with a little meat on her bones.
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
did you see that? Did you see the interview at all or no?
I didn't see that interview, but I saw pictures with them laying across the couch. He got his hand on her butt. Like, it's a very intimate photo, So I don't know what that's about, you
Wait a minute,
know.
whose hand? Wait a minute, whose hand was on whose butt? Because I'm lost. I'm sorry.
Corey had his hand on to see his butt. They were on the couch, and she was like laying across him, and he had his like hand like on her waist and butt area. You know what I mean? Like her hip and her butt area. You
You
know?
saying Cornelius and Camille were doing the reunion.
No, in a photo for at
Okay.
somebody's house. Like they were. Matter of fact, they were at Libba's house. Okay, and
Okay.
they were
Okay.
on the couch, laying across the couch, chilling out,
Mhm.
and Tasia was laying on Corey, and he had his hand like on her hip and butt. You know what I mean? So it was like, what's that about? Are y'all messing around? What's going on there
Mm.
behind the scenes? It was a party.
Mm.
It was a party at Libba's, I think, where Aisha cooked all the food, I believe.
Okay, and it was Corey. Corey had
Yeah,
his hands on Tasia.
Tasia, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he acts like he likes Tasia. He talks about Tasia and how, and I've said for one thing, I've said from the very beginning, Tasia is an absolutely gorgeous girl physically. She's physically stunning. She's gorgeous, right? But what I don't like about Tasia is her attitude. She's got a bad attitude.
And yeah,
She's
but
got a bad
again,
I'm
listen,
just saying. She's got a
you accuse
in my opinion.
you accuse me all season because listen, in the first episode or two, Zadia was my one and two. She was in that house, right? Yeah, yeah. And, and, and if and, and if Zadia ever get hold of me, that's how I'm going to sound.
PG-13, sir. PG-13. You never know when them YouTube
Nope,
police are
nope, nope.
listening in.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
Anyway, right. Okay.
Anyway, so that's the thing. So it's like when a guy has that kind of attraction for a woman initially, he's not really focusing on she got a bad attitude, she this, she that. He's just trying to knock it down. You know what I mean?
Okay,
You
okay.
worry about the bad attitude
Ladies,
later.
ladies, in other words, he's trying to get in your pants. But go ahead, go ahead,
Oh,
continue
don't
on.
talk about no PG. You know. So, but he
Right, right.
listen, because you know this. You're an experienced woman. I'm an experienced man. Listen, I've slept with women I didn't particularly care for. I didn't like them, but
I've
they were
never
there.
slept with a man that I didn't like. I don't know. I can't do that. I can't
Yeah,
do that.
because women typically can't do it, but men can. Okay, she was there. She was available. Not that I liked her, but she was there.
But I'm trying to get back to where do we when we left off at? We were on Tasia, we were on Corey. So I'm trying. I think
Right.
you were trying to make a point, but I'm not sure if it got lost in the sauce. So what was the point you were
No,
making about Tasia and Corey?
no, we were actually on
Oh,
Alex and Cornelius in the city, and Corey came out there and hung out with them. Why was he there?
oh,
Okay.
right. Why was he there? Okay,
And,
gotcha.
and and the point I was making, he was there because that's Cornelius' boy. That's who comforted him when he started the crying routine and all kind of stuff. They boys. Now, how far it goes beyond that, I don't know.
Okay,
Okay,
gotcha,
I'll leave
gotcha.
that alone.
Right. Because that's what I said. Well, why would another grown man, if the two of them, that's why I didn't understand Alex, did she understand the full brevity of her story? Because I got the opinion, I got the observation from her in that interview that she didn't fully get what was going on, or she had blinders on. She didn't want to see it because she came across to me as a woman, she came across as kind of desperate, kind of thirsty, as they would say. Like,
Mhm.
why are you letting this guy tell you that he's got to have these appearances for the reunion, and he's got to keep it a certain way, that basically he's having a fake relationship with Camille? That's the thing that he was telling her. It kind of sounds like another reality show. You maybe not probably are familiar with this one, but I'm Married at First Sight. Last season there was a guy, and he was married to this whole woman, and he claimed that he couldn't be seen with this other woman after the season wrapped because, when the season is still in the can and they haven't revealed whether the couple stayed together or not, he couldn't be out in public seen with another woman because then it would be out the bag. The cat would be out the bag. And that's part of the contract they signed, the non-disclosure agreement, or the NDA, right? It's all these little different twists and ties and whatever. But my thing is, like, you know what, ladies, we got to have more respect for our bodies and ourselves and our person. And you know
Why?
what? And you got, and the other thing, you've got to really, like, God bless us. I feel like this. I'm a firm believer in God. I love the Lord, but I believe that God blessed us all with intuition as women. And it's that inner voice that tells us when something's not right. And even if, like, when my mom told me that advice, that guy was sweet, and she kind of warned me that that's probably not somebody I'm going to want to fall in love with. Okay, and she couldn't put it into words in the beginning where I could really understand exactly what she meant. But I've learned over the years, God rest her soul, that when my mother was alive, she was a person that had very keen insight into individuals when she met them. And so when that intuition tells you that something is wrong, believe it. Believe it. Trust it.
So what you're saying is, if a woman takes control of of her body and have sex with a guy with no strings attached or whatever, she just want to have sex with him. She's not respecting her body. She's making a decision on her own to sleep with a guy with no strings. Does that mean she's not respecting her body? No, that's not what that means. Because I've known plenty of women who were between relationships. Yeah. Every time you get
You
back,
know, you know what? I
every,
thank God, because of the words the tumbling around in my mind had come out my mouth. We surely wouldn't have been PG-13 at that point.
let it come out.
Alex, that's fine. Whatever you're
Listen,
saying, you tacked on some more stuff now. I
I'm
I, I don't
telling you,
know.
you don't want to hear it, but it's the truth, Audrey. Just because you don't want to
You
hear
know
it,
what?
don't
I
make
think
it a lie.
your mind is going off, and that's fine. What grown people do. I didn't say anything about that. That wasn't what I was
But
talking
but
about. That
but you
wasn't
said
what I
women
was
need to learn how
talking
to
about.
respect.
You
Women
just
gotta learn
went
how to
off.
respect their
You just
bodies.
went off. You just went off in a as from a male perspective. You just went off into a
I'm a
male,
man, ain't I?
a masculine, testosterone dominated situation that is about sex. We're talking about relationships, but yes, sex is a part of them. And if women want to have sex with men that's consensual and they're adults or whatever, if that's what they want to do, they do what they want to do. I'm not about that life. I'm not about that life, but I'm not a woman that's young enough to be about that life. Is the way I feel like, right? I'm over 40, I'm over 50. I'm not about that life. But women want to do that. They want to have sex in a healthy, safe relationship or non-relationship. That's fine. But you're taking your testosterone and you're throwing that 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 filter over women, and I don't think that necessarily is fine. No,
No,
I don't think so.
because you
No.
don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear truth.
I heard it, and you heard what I had to say to it.
And I didn't finish saying what I needed to say because you cut me off. Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I have no problem with you finishing your complete thought so I can raspberry you again.
Yeah, don't use my own tactics against me. You know.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
But
Alex.
what I'm saying is, let's say a woman, and I've seen this many times, and I've done it many times. Let's say a woman was in a relationship with a guy that she really cared for, right? And they were together a
Mhm.
long time, 3, 4, 5 years, right? The
Mhm.
relationship doesn't work out. They decide to go their separate ways. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now she's quote unquote single. Okay.
Okay.
And he's going on with whatever he's doing. Okay. Now, because she's familiar with him, if there's no red tape involved, anytime she has an
What you say?
she
Red tape.
red
Go
tape.
ahead.
There's no red tape involved, which means they don't have to go out on dates and get flowers and all that kind of stuff, right? Let's say
Oh,
she
good
just has
nerve.
an itch that needs to be scratched. She's gonna call him.
Ladies, do you hear this analogy that he's using? But go ahead. Go ahead,
Look,
Alex.
if she got an itch that got to be scratched, she's going back to familiarity. Now that doesn't mean she want to be with him again. That just means she's familiar with him. They were
Mhm.
vulnerable with each other for many years until she
Mhm.
until she finds her next guy.
He's never gonna find him. My okay, go ahead.
No,
I want you
you
to
are.
finish. I want you
You
to
are.
finish. I want you to. No, I'm not wrong, but go ahead. I want you to finish.
Until she finds her next
Go
guy,
ahead. Go ahead.
she's going to use what she's been familiar with to have her itch scratched. I've seen this
She's
so many times in my
she's
life.
gonna have a difficult time. I won't say okay. You know what? So I can't say never. It's hard to say never. So I won't say never. But women and men who use exes no longer together, like Walter in on the show. So to bring it back to the show too, you're gonna have a difficult time finding that next partner if you're really serious about a monogamous relationship. If you're really serious about finding the one, you're gonna have a difficult time because women and men sniff out the fact that you're still screwing somebody when you're saying you're single. That's a fact. That's a fact. Okay, sir.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying women do that as well as men. This is not a
Oh,
gender thing.
absolutely. Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. That's not what
yeah,
I'm saying. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that as a woman. I haven't been out there and been single and like you said, had an itch that needed to be scratched, as you so poetically put it.
right.
Right? I'm not
Because
saying that I'm not saying I'm above that, but what I am saying though, I can recall also having situations where it complicates things. It complicates things is what it does.
right,
Eventually, because eventually you will see someone else that you are interested in, and it complicates things. And sometimes by you clinging on to an ex, right? Sometimes what happens is when you meet that next person that you want to really entertain and get to know, and that's a possible candidate for a romance and a relationship, it complicates things to the point where now you've got the X person, right? This X person that's over here satisfying your scratch and your need. Now you got this person. What if that person is literally still in love with you? I've had that happen where a man has been in love with me, and I'm saying, well, it's over with, but oh well, yeah, the sex was good, so let's still kick it. And then now what has happened is this guy is in love with you, and now you're trying to entertain the next guy, the next candidate. You can get into some very sticky situations with that.
But again, to your own admission, you've done it. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the point of it is not to say, I don't like it when, somebody like you, for example, says, oh, that you've done it, because that's not the point. I never said that I didn't do it, if you recall. I never said that I didn't do it, but my point is it's not healthy and it's not really going anywhere. That was my point. So you don't
But
have to
see,
throw it in my face because I made the
no, no.
determination. I'm talking, I'm speaking. I
Okay.
made the determination to share the information with you. So I wasn't trying to hide it, but I'm just saying that in my experience, also at the same time, that's how I know and why I believe that it's not going to be helpful. You get
Okay.
these situations where you're with all these different people and you got all these spirits around you from the people that you're with. It's not a good thing, sir.
Okay, Aubrey, and I hear you. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. What I want you to understand is you're a more mature 50 plus woman. You cannot tell a 25-year-old
Oh, yes,
what
I can.
they're not going to listen. That's what
They
I'm
don't
telling
have
you.
to listen. They
They're
don't
not
have to
going to listen.
listen. But what you're saying is I can't give advice or offer commentary and observation, and I'm saying that I can. I'm not saying anybody's gonna listen to it. I'm not saying that the people right now that are in this chat, 15 plus people. I'm not saying that any of these people or these viewers are gonna listen to anything I'm saying. But I'm just saying, find out for yourself. You can come back and tell me that I was correct. That's all.
But they'll come back and tell you were correct in 20 years. Because they're gonna do what they're gonna do now.
That's fine. That's
Mhm.
fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
But you know
That's
what?
fine.
Before we get off of here, because I got about 15 minutes left. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
but
talk about.
I gotta say I've enjoyed you though. I mean, we fuss
Yeah,
a lot, but I've enjoyed you. You're a guy, so I have to excuse you and have to have grace and patience with you because you're a guy.
I gotta be honest with you though.
You're
That's the thing.
a guy, but you're a guy though. You're a real guy.
One thing.
And as much as I like you being a real guy, sometimes I don't like you being a real guy. Like, what in the heck? You don't understand the way women think, but then you understand too well. You have brought up a lot of points. Like I said, I really have a lot to think about. That whole thing with Camille befriending women to keep them away from her man. I never thought about that tactic at all. I never did. So you really have shed a lot of light throughout this season. So are you
Yeah,
gonna be able to come back with us this new season that's starting up?
yeah. I want to come back. I want to come back, but I want to address something now before I have to jump off of here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna
And
wrap things up. Okay.
yeah, and one thing I want to make a point of as this season waned on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
started noticing that there were a lot of people, well, a few people, I'm not going to say a lot, but a few people who definitely had a lot of emotional instability
Mm.
from past or whatever that they never dealt with. And as the season began to go along, they begin to unravel. And
Oh,
you,
yes.
and you
Oh, thank you
started
for bringing
seeing
that point up. Yes. Okay, talk about that. Talk about that because I got something I got to say on that. That's a great
it,
point.
it's clear now. You know,
Mhm.
in the beginning of the season, episode 1 or 2, you looking at the eye candy. Oh, these are great.
Mhm.
Everybody look good. Blah blah blah.
Beautiful cast,
Right.
especially well, I'll say the women. I think the guys
Yeah.
they were average. They were average to a little above average.
But as the season went on, and you started seeing the behavior, and then you start watching the lives and start hearing about stories behind the scenes and this that, you started saying, "Man,
Mhm.
Zaya got some issues, man."
Oh yeah.
You start saying, look, Shiloh got some issues. Tasia got some issues. And so you start seeing this stuff, and I think people come on these shows looking for love, but if you haven't figured out yourself, if you haven't healed from some stuff and figured out who you are, as the 5%ers will say in my neighborhood, knowledge of self, if you haven't figured all that out, you got no business looking for a spouse or a mate or much less being on a dating show, because you are emotionally unstable and you are unhealed, and we've seen
Right.
that clearly.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And one person that we haven't talked about today, Alex, who I'm thinking about, and now that I'm farther away from the situation, I was very irate and very upset with her when we did I think it was season 5 episode 11, right, or episode 10, where there was that what they're calling now, and I like this word, so it's being called allygate, between Shiloh and Phil, right.
Right, right.
um, I have a lot more grace and sympathy for her now because I'm finding out again just recently, just late last night or early this morning, whenever that IG live was with for Zadia, when they were snapping back at Zadia, someone was expressing, I think it was Aisha, the abuse. I did not realize the abuse or the alleged abuse. Let me be careful with my words now. Tasha K. Um, the alleged abuse, that verbal abuse that Shiloh was experiencing at the hand of other women, and supposedly her friend Zadia, the cursing, the name calling, the berating, and the tone. And she says, "Oh, I'm your friend, and I'm just trying to get you in line, yada yada yada." And I won't even repeat the words that were said. Um, and when I'm beginning to think, with my background in mental health, I'm beginning to think that the culmination to Allygate was all of this pressure from Zadia and Camille, right? And so what it did was put perhaps what it could have done was put Shiloh in a weakened state, that by the time this incident happened, with all the drinking that was going on, and her being at this event, it seems to me that it put her in a really dangerous position, emotionally, to what you're saying about emotional stability. It
Mhm.
really put her in a bad, bad spot. And I'm just seeing it. There were a lot. I'll just say this. I feel like, even from on camera, if I can make the observation that there were a lot of toxic people on this past season, there were a lot of toxic people. And hopefully this new season, these are more mature people that are a little bit older and a little more experienced. Please don't allow other people, whether they be men or women, to bully you when you're on a dating show or just in life in general. Don't allow people to bully you. Just
But you
don't.
know what? You know what, Aubrey? You can say Shiloh was triggered because of things that happened in her past that Aisha had mentioned on the live that we may not have known about. So we may now have a newfound empathy or sympathy for her. And I believe we had that all along. We just wanted her to come out and address some of her shortcomings, right? And here's why I say that,
Hmm.
because Sabrina is ethnically ambiguous, right? And it caused her a lot of issues growing up. The
Hmm.
teasing, the bullying, the this, the
Okay.
that, right? And now she's at this age, this more mature age, and she's still classy and elegant and respectful. She don't act
Hmm.
like they act. And she
Right.
came up rough in it like that. She was bullied and harassed
But
and
I'm
things
not
like
understanding what. Okay, so are you comparing the two women to each
that.
other? Are you
Yes,
comparing
yes.
Sabrina and
Yes,
Shiloh?
Shiloh. Yes, I'm saying that
Okay.
even though you can come from that instability, that at some point you have to make a decision
Oh,
not to let that
absolutely.
no longer shape you. I think Sabrina made a decision. That's no longer going to shape me. I'm not going to treat people bad. I'm not going to let that bother me. It's not going to
Hmm.
affect my self esteem, blah,
Hmm.
blah, all of that.
Right.
Shiloh is not there yet.
Right,
Maybe
right,
because
right.
she's
I feel like she's not, and if you notice, it's being confirmed again. So I'm just looking at observations and adding fact upon fact. If you're taking what people say as their word as fact, Walter kind of confirmed too, though, because Walter said something during his interview. He said that Shiloh was observed to not be emotionally stable, and they went from a situation where they were talking as romantic interest, and that he determined that she was not emotionally healthy, but they continued to talk as friends, and she confided in him. So I said, there's a good point to that. But what I'm trying to say though, I get what you're saying, and absolutely people have to make it a determination. I'm a very strong believer in that whatever happened in your childhood, you can receive healing, but you have to seek healing, right? But my point also, what I was trying to say is this: I had sympathy and empathy for her, for Shiloh, but hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. But what I'm also saying is that added to that, what happened to Sabrina was way back in her past as a girl in grade school. What I'm saying is what happened to Shiloh was ongoing during the season, and there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And I know you don't seem to, one thing you and I definitely disagree about is the effect of bullying. If somebody is bullying this woman at her job, on her workplace, during the taping of the show, the effects of that and the triggering response that she would have from a past unhealed trauma, and then top that off with everything else, is what I'm speaking to, Alex. And you can't disregard that. You just can't disregard that. That's
I,
all
don't-
I'm saying. I
I
feel
yeah,
for everybody.
and
I feel for all of them.
I don't disregard it, but what I'm saying is that stuff, at some point, instead of breaking you down, and I'm just different, I guess. But instead of breaking
You
you
are,
down,
you are that New York outer
be-
shell.
because instead of breaking you down, it should make you stronger over time. So at this age, let's say she was bullied when she was 10 and 11 and 12 or whatever, right?
I'm gonna try to keep you on schedule with your appointments.
Okay,
So
okay. So yeah, I'm getting ready to stop. But let's say she was bullied at 10, 11, 12, and 13, whatever. Okay, fine. You bullied, it bothered you, it affected you through your early years, whatever, your formative years, so forth. But now you're 35 years old.
right,
Okay,
she's 35,
so
36, right?
now you should be at the point now. If somebody bully you, say, man, if you don't get out my face with that BS, you have to get to that point. Because all those years of
That's the thing.
training.
That's what I was about to say. But you have to have the tools. That's another part of it. I think you can receive healing, and in a person receiving healing, if they don't receive the tools, if they don't seek out the tools, what do I say? What do I do when this happens? Because in life, we think of bullying as something that kids do, but in reality, bullying is something that people will manipulate you and bully you throughout your entire life, through your
Facts.
work life, through your neighborhood, your community. There was that show on ID where the neighbors are killing each other
Love
basically
thy
because,
neighbor.
no, that's not the name of
It's
it. But
called Love Thy
anyway,
Neighbor or something.
is it?
No,
So
no. Fear
no,
thy
it's not.
neighbor. Fear thy
Yeah,
neighbor.
that's what it is. But my point is what I was gonna say. Yeah. So I watched one of those episodes, and it was like literally. So we, like I said, we a lot of people think that bullying only happens as children, and you keep referring back to the fact, well, they were bullied. That was 10, 30, 20 years ago. No, it's happening right now at your job. It's happening right now in your neighborhood. That neighbor uh that decides to let their dog poop on your yard, and they give you a look, the rock wilder, like, oh yeah, I'll just accidentally let this rock wilder leaf slip out my hand and come attack you and bite you or whatever. Bullying happens at any and every age, is what I'm saying. And if you don't have the tools to properly release yourself and to respond to a bully, you are trapped. You are in fact trapped.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. You're gonna be bullied all your life, and you need the tools to learn how to deal with that. I definitely agree with that. I say that all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just pointing to Shiloh's situation as a possibility, allegedly, Tasha K, that it sounds like from the interviews that I've heard, which kind of also goes to some other observations that I made about her physical being. That during the filming, we kept noticing that she had the dark circles under her eyes, that she seemed unwell. She seemed very unwell. So all of these things, I'm saying that in life, a lot of things can come together to create a perfect storm, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just that she was just maybe possibly drinking. It's not just that she wanted an answer. It was all the other things that were going on that created the storm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But but
I
Alex,
definitely.
do you have another 1 minute? Tell us how they can reach you, where they can reach you on IG, if they want to. Those viewers that want to contact you or want to talk about, find out more about your projects that you'll be posting, and this podcast that you'll be starting shortly.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I'm excited about that I'm working on. I've been very, very busy as of late. Throughout last year into this year, started out with kind of a bang. So you can find me on IG, AWLeaf67 on IG. I'm on Facebook under Alex W. Leaf, easy to find. Come over, address me, whatever. I'm a very approachable person, very easy to chat with. I have very strong opinions. Isn't that right,
Great.
Aubrey?
Yes, that is right. I was gonna say yes, ladies. I mean, if you're a lady and you're cute, I think he's very easily to approach. So I don't know, guys. I don't know, fellas, if that's really true. For you guys out there, but possible. If he can work with you, yes, he is very approachable. He's very delightful.
Mhm. Yes, but that's somebody. But thank you, Aubrey, for having me again. Always, I enjoy this so much. I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy learning because when you and I go back and forth, and the audience with the differences between men and women, that's the only way we're going to learn. We need to have difficult conversations. Conversations have to be difficult in order for us to learn and have empathy and sympathy for one another's plight. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to refer everybody, the viewers here today, that if you haven't seen the IG Live with Aisha, Courtney, Sydney, and Sabrina. It's on my channel, Actually Aubrey. Those of you that are here today, I thank you for being here, for watching. Um, if you've been here a couple of times, maybe it's time for you to go ahead and click that button and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know the next time Alex and I go live, the next video I put up. I promise I'm coming back to you with that Married at First Sight, because we got to really get into that. That's getting really, really juicy. What's going on with Elijah Wan and Katina and Michael and his wife Jasmina. All these names, I'm trying to keep them straight because I got like a whole bunch of shows and a whole bunch of names in my head. But and also want to know what you guys are thinking about Ready to Love, this new season. So we're gonna get ready and watch that new season, and we'll be coming back to you guys on Sunday at what, Alex, are you going to be available this Sunday?
Yeah, let's discuss a time later on off the air, and yeah, we'll
Okay.
put that on
Okay.
Sunday.
All right. Well, we'll be back this Sunday and I'll be posting that thumbnail, guys. So look for us and we'll see you in our next video. Bye, y'all. Take care.